Hello Rebrand gang, welcome to episode 45 of Rebrand Everything, the weekly graphic design show where we redesign the logo of big or famous companies. This week we're going to be redesigning the Under Armour logo. Let's go. So Under Armour are a well-known sports clothing company that compete with the likes of Adidas and Nike. Their current logo looks like this, and their current website homepage looks like this. Also on their website they have this big brand story page which tells you a little bit about the company history and also gives a good visual overview of how they present themselves and their brand. So from looking at this, it looks like their main focus is on improving performance through their clothing technology. The branding all seems very masculine and powerful. The icon is recognisable enough that they don't always need the word mark alongside it for it to be recognised as the Under Armour brand. I'd say this is probably a good thing as the text for the word Under Armour looks a little bit strange. It has these harsh diagonal cuts at almost random positions across the logo, which although yes might make it quite distinctive and kind of fit with that powerful vibe, personally I just find the whole thing kind of jarring and uncomfortable to read. When the logo is positioned directly next to its competitors, I feel like it looks a little bit out of date, and I think that's partly down to the extra details in the text, as well as the icons somehow feeling like slightly less refined and polished than the other two. So looking at the icon a little bit closer, I feel like the icon has been designed and then stretched out to be wider, therefore making the spacing in the middle just slightly kind of uncomfortable to my eyes. I can't really explain it, it just got that stretched feel. So today we're going to look at creating 5 new options which you can vote for in the poll at the end. What do you think of the current logo? Let me know in the comments down below. So at the sketching stage, as always, I was just getting everything out of my mind and onto the page just so I've got as much as possible to work with and refine later. So I was looking at obviously using the letters U and A and sort of looking at different ways of interlocking them and different sort of shapes and icons that we could use to sort of portray that. Some similar to the current logo and some that are completely different to the current logo just to sort of give it different vibes. I was feeling like because their current logo is so sort of like masculine and sort of American feeling, I thought it might be nice to keep that in 1 or 2 of the options, then also start tapering away from that a little bit to sort of give it more of like a universal feel. Perhaps it might end up looking generic, but we will find out. So I was looking at lots of different ways of sort of interlocking the 2 letters, thinking about how I could lay the text out alongside it as well. So I started looking at that in the sketching stage, but to be honest, I'm a lot better at working with that and it's kind of much quicker to work with that at the Illustrator stage. So once I got to a certain point of the sketching stage, I kind of thought, yep, I definitely can pull 5 ideas out of this. So let's move into Illustrator now and see what we can come up with. If you would like to submit a rebrand idea for a future video, remember you can visit rebrandeverything.com and fill out the form on there and I'll add that to my ever-growing list. And also, if you enjoy the video, please press like, it really helps the channel out. If we can get 100 likes on this video, I will do a special one-off video creating a logo for Thirsty Work Incorporated.
100 likes, let's do this.
1.
So as I quite often do, I made option 1 a sort of development of the current logo instead of completely reinventing the wheel. I started out by creating the main shape of the icon, and I did that by just overlaying white shapes on top of black shapes and then basically trimmed away the excess with the shape builder tool once I was happy with how it looks. I tried quite a few different shapes as initially I was thinking about keeping the line thickness of the U and the A the same throughout. But after a bit of development I realised that the variable line thickness really helps give some sort of differentiation between the shapes at the point where they overlap. I also added a gap between the 2 letters as I felt like this gave the icon a little bit more depth and it made it look like the A shape was actually kind of behind the U, which kind of ties in with the Under Armour concept, kind of like it's like a layer that sort of takes the sweat away from your body or whatever, so I thought that extra depth might help. I used a circle over the top of the shapes and then turned that into a clipping mask to give me that curved and sharp ends on the extensions of the letters. This meant that the logo was close to even in height and width, which gives me some room to play with the different text positions, as obviously if you've got one that's really tall it kind of looks weird when you put that on top of like centered text beneath it. There's not enough like dominant shapes in the amount of space that it takes up, which can be annoying to work with in future branding. So because this one, the height and width was similar, I thought it could work as going forwards. I tried to use and sort of recover the Under Armour original like existing text, but it just felt too messy and extreme, so I decided to get another font which I had seen like recently, and that was called Days, D-A-Y-S. After a bit of modification to the text just to sharpen up some of the edges, I felt like it fitted quite nicely with the updated icon, which I then reversed out of a black circle as I felt like it made it look a lot more powerful, which kind of fits with the personality of the brand.
2.
So the main idea behind option 2 was to somehow show the overlap to indicate the words Under Armour. That just conjures up images of sort of layers as well, so I wanted to really go in on that for this option. I wanted to use simple letter shapes with kind of sweeps through them to give like a simplified depth effect. My first attempts looked a little bit too soft and friendly, like something you might see on like a sore throat sweet packet or something like that. So I had to give the style a rethink and create something that has the vibe of power and performance as opposed to like medicine or just like soothing. I can't explain it. Maybe it's something like the Strepsils branding. Yeah, I think the like almost like yin yang sweep was reminding me of like the Strepsils packaging, which is obviously not a route that I wanted to go into. So my idea was to harden up some of the edges to give it a sharper, more direct feel instead of the rounded corners, rounded soft stroke and sort of friendly vibe. And then once I had something I was pretty happy with, it was time to add in the text. Because the icon was slightly weirdly balanced because of the triangle, it made it challenging to get the text to sort of play nicely with it. In the end, I simplified the idea back and used mixed weights fonts to give less dominance to the word under, as that word alone doesn't conjure up like positive thoughts. The first things I think of when I think of the word under is like underachiever, underdog, and I know that seems like a weird thing to say, but I believe these little subtle thoughts and associations can sort of change the vibe that you get from a brand. On the other side of the logo, by using a bolder font for the word armour, it gives more power and dominance, as that is like a positive word and it sounds like it's going to protect the user, and generally good things sort of spring to mind with the associations of the word armour.
3.
So in the sketching phase, I'd drawn out some little icons which were like UA shapes all interlocking in different ways. I'd also drawn out this idea where the icon was in the middle and the two words were kind of set either side of it, so like the icon centre circle, two words either side. It's kind of like a classic look. So I wanted to bring these two ideas together to make something that maybe looks like it's been around for a while, to sort of establish some sort of heritage, and that could also add some like weight to the brand. After working with some text for a while, I decided that I preferred the text to the icon, so I went back and adjusted the icon to fit with the text style, which is not normally how I do things. Normally it's the other way around, but this time it kind of did stage 1, went to stage 2, then had to readdress stage 1 to fit with stage 2 because it looks so much better. The font used here is called Knockout, and it's got loads and loads of weights available, but it also comes in different like widths as well, so like weights and widths are variable. And then when you combine these, it can make some good looking and really adaptable typography. I think this final logo has a nice retro vibe to it, which I think could be nicely developed across the rest of their visuals and brand.
4.
So like I said, at the sketching phase, I was drawing out lots of different ways of showing like interlocking shapes, like interlocking the two letters, some which were really clearly letters, U and A, but then some that were more like abstract shapes. One idea came together quite nicely at the sketching stage, so I thought I'd take it into Illustrator for option 4 and try and develop something nice and refined out of it. It's kind of a geometric and simpler version of the current concept, however the letters are slightly offset, so they are like linked instead of just sitting directly on top of each other. This simple style gave a cool look, and the fact that the two shapes look like they're overlaying and interlocking strengthens the idea that Under Armour are like the layer of protection that you need for like ultimate sports performance, or that's the idea behind it anyway. And I just thought it made quite a nice little unit. I just generally thought that the icon made quite a nice little unit, and I could kind of picture it on like a hoodie or on like sports clothing, and I just think that that is the actual main application of it, and I just thought it would look nice on there. So yeah, that's option 4.
5.
So apparently I can't make it through one video without making a logo that is designed around the shape of a hexagon. So for this week's option 5, I've been very innovative and created a logo based on a hexagon. Whilst I am being a little bit sarcastic about that, I think there is real merit in this idea, as it looks very strong and sturdy, and it sort of holds the two letters of the company name and gives a powerful and almost industrial feel to the brand, which I feel fits with their sort of current tone of voice and general vibe. I decided to keep all of the edges sharp instead of using rounded strokes, and then to give some contrast I used a font that's kind of hardcore but still has some soft edges on it. I liked how these fonts and icons were working together, but the space between the letters was making me very upset, so I had to adjust the word under to be thinner by using a white stroke and then manually adapting some parts of the letters before scaling up to match the height of the word armour. And basically, once I'd added the stroke to the text, you obviously outline the text, you add the stroke on there, then you expand it, and then you highlight everything that, like the black and the white of the stroke, like the black of the inside of the text and the white of the stroke, and then use the shape builder tool to trim it away. Then obviously what you're left with is a little bit shorter than the other word if you're using another word alongside it. So I just scaled that up, even though some of the like center points might not be exactly the same. I think it's absolutely fine for this, and it's such a small problem, I don't think it would ever be detrimental to the brand. I know I always say stuff like this, but I like hexagon style logos as they have like an almost 3D element to them once you put the letters inside. It's like the tapered edges on the two edges sort of give that perspective that I just find interesting to look at. I just feel like it adds that another dimension that I just seem to always sort of like end up on and like, especially for a brand like Under Armour where they want to appear strong and sort of powerful. Okay then, Rebrand gang, before I show you them final options, I just want to remind you to press the little button up here and vote for your favourite, and then head straight down to the comments below and let me know why that was your favourite and what you would maybe do to improve it. If you like the video, please remember to press like. If you want to see videos like this every single week, press subscribe and then put the little bell on so you can be the first to watch when you get that notification. Also, I've upped my mock-up game big time this week. I hope you enjoy seeing the next part of this video where you actually see the logos in use. I think this is really cool and really helpful for the video, so let me know what you think as well. Okay then, Rebrand gang, here are our final options.